Around the world, people ring bells to signify a victory against the disease of cancer.
And these bells become doubly important when a child is the victor. To share a truly remarkable story of perseverance, we welcome Steve and Lena Odell.
Hey Kevin, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're Bella's parents.
And we are very happy to be on your show.
It's nice to meet you as well. Can you tell us about your youngest daughter, Bella?
So Bella came into our lives on February 23rd, 2013.
Yeah, she was very quiet, softy, elegant little girl. Very, very, like a butterfly, really softy girl.
And she lived 5 years without any sicknesses, any visits to the doctor, or any of those sorts of things.
And I understand things took a turn. Can you tell us what happened?
Bella had turned 5 years old when we noticed that she was starting to behave differently or have different physical ailments that started with a rash and pain in the thighs. We thought maybe a meningitis was a possibility, some sort of infectious disease is what was sort of being investigated. And she saw her mommy moving some rice around and wanted to help her one morning, and went over to the closet, and she picked up this 25-pound bag of rice and then screeched in pain. And then she had this back pain, this unrelenting back pain that was really unusual for a 5-year-old to have.
She was in constant pain, nonstop. Like I couldn't let her put her in bed. She would scream. If I wanted to take her out of the bed, she would scream. So I was like really confused and scared.
And at that point, we were now working with Johns Hopkins Hospital and had a couple of inpatient sessions and with their infectious disease doctors. And they had pulled blood one of the times, approaching June, that they drew some blood. And then on our way home, they called us to immediately come back because her hemoglobin was, I think it was like 4.7 at that point.
And a normal range would have been 10 or 12, which means with a 4.7, those numbers indicated she had severe anemia.
Did they find what was causing it?
When they came to tell us the news, Steve was on his way to the hospital, and he called me just a second before the doctors get to the room, and he said, "Did they come in yet?" I said, "No, not yet." He said, "So whenever they come in, just put me on speaker so I can listen to what they're saying." The time they knocked on the door and they came in, and then they start talking, and I put him on the speaker. So he said, "Well, the result came back." So I was like, "Okay, what is it?" And he said, "Well, we found cancer." And I would start shaking, like, "Don't say that." I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. It was not real that day. It was surreal, like your worst nightmare that you just hear that word. I wasn't even like prepared. I was with all of her sicknesses and mystery diagnoses every time they come up with, I was still like positive. Never thought of cancer at all.
And the fever persisted for 2 months. It never went away. It was there every single day. To give you a visual, the reason the pain, the back pain was so prevalent, this particular type of cancer, neuroblastoma, grows off the adrenal glands typically, and it had been pressing against their spine. And based on the measurements, you were looking at one that's the size of my fist. So when I did the measurements of my fist based on what they provided, that's what was in her back. You couldn't see it, but...
Yeah.
And she weighed 27 pounds, so the size of my fist inside of her pressing is where the pain was coming from.
At this point, had the cancer spread anywhere else?
At that point, it was all over her body. It was off her. There's a particular artery that runs to the liver right there as well, and it was just sort of grown all around that. So there was that one, and then she had it in her lymph nodes, and then of course the reason for the anemia, severe anemia, was it was also in her bone marrow at that point. So she had it in 3 separate systems. Yeah, so there's no time lapse, there's no going home. At that point, it was immediate, high dose, multi-session chemo. The plan is extremely aggressive for this type of tumor cancer, so it's a lot of sessions. In pediatric cancer, they treat at much higher doses, one, because children recover at a much higher rate. So, you know, on the one hand, it's good because you have a higher chance, hopefully, of getting rid of what you have, but on the other, it's crazy. You know, you're poisoning your child at a level that is just really quite insane when you do the comparisons to what they give adults.
How long did she have to go through chemo?
The treatments went on for approximately just over a year, so to shrink the tumor to a size that is more reasonable to operate on. So after 40 or so sessions, she went into, she had surgery. That surgery was, I believe, on the table, was it 12 hours?
13.
13 hours.
It's because the doctor at the beginning told us the procedure will be from 6 to 8 hours, the surgery, and then it kept extending from 6 to 8 to 9, 10, 11, 13, so we were just drained. We were the last family sitting in the waiting area.
And then he came out and he's like, it went great. You know.
And was that the end of it?
So it went from the surgery, 7 days in the hospital, she got 3 days at home, and then she went to the bone marrow transplant. And then from there, she turned the corner and was able to, I mean, she pulled out of it, and she got out of the hospital
December
the day
24th.
before Christmas.
Christmas
Yeah,
Eve.
Christmas Eve.
After spending 1 month at the hospital.
And from there, she received, I think, 1 week. She had a 1 week break, and then jumped into 20 sessions of radiation, 4 weeks, 5 days a week, every single day, of course, radiation. I think that might have been the first time they considered her cancer-free.
Now, as difficult as this was for her parents, Bella was the one who had to fight this disease and its ruthless treatment.
Here to talk about this devastating battle is Bella Odell with her sister, Helen. Hey, Helen. Hey, Bella. How you two doing?
Hi, Kevin. I'm Bella. Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure to have you, Bella. And you too, Helen.
Helen, were you still living at home when Bella began getting sick?
Yes, I had just graduated college. We would have dinner dates, me and her. She loves going to Nando's and Chick-fil-A and taking her to do all these other activities that a 5-year-old would enjoy. And then just things I feel like took a very wrong turn. And I remember, like, even my graduation, she was just in so much pain. So
Bella, it must have been really tough for you.
I really didn't like it because I hate needles. And I also hate surgeries because I can't even eat or drink.
Did you miss things like going to school?
Honestly, I really didn't like school, so the answer is no. But I did miss going to my friends.
Bella, do you remember what it was like going through chemo?
Me suffering for like 100 days.
do you remember how it was, how it felt when the doctors were trying to see what was wrong with you and we kept going to the hospital?
I was confused.
You were confused?
And at the same time in pain.
What was the scariest part of being in the hospital?
Chemo. Also, what's scary was my surgeries.
So, Steve and Lena, eventually, after a grueling process, Bella got through a treatment, and that must have been an unimaginable joy. To celebrate, Bella participated in a special ceremony. Can you tell us about that?
They get together and they read a sort of end of cancer, under treatment statement, and they ring the bell with everybody there celebrating.
It's true to clearly say My treatment is done. This course is run. Now I am on my way.
Because it's as you've heard, it's harrowing.
That was the day I was waiting for, actually, for the whole year and a half. And I couldn't stop myself from crying. I was trying to hold my tears, but I couldn't. It was a very joyful day.
Happy end of chemo, dear Bella. Happy end of chemo to you.
Helen and Bella, what was that day like for you?
Overwhelmed with joy. It was a great day.
It was the greatest day for life.
Yes, it was.
It reminds you, it definitely makes things real. Both ringing the bell and realizing what that's all about and why it matters.
I felt like I was finally going to be set free. It's like if I'm a bird and I'm finally being set free from my cage.
Bella, what would you say to other kids who may be going through cancer treatments?
If you have stage 4 cancer, just be brave and focus your mind on strength.
And then you're a miracle. You're a miracle, baby. You beat cancer.
I love you too, girl. I love you too, Helen. I also love my family.
I loved when Bella said, just be brave and focus your mind on strength. It really goes to show that mindset is everything.
Yeah, and speaking of mindset, faith plays a huge role in your life.